Praising my Savior.
Yeah.
All the day. To our YouTube viewers, we pray God for you. We pray that we have been a blessing to you.
Yeah.
We want you to know that if you're ever visiting Philadelphia or just looking for a church home, you're always welcome to come over here to the Erie Avenue Baptist.
Thank you, Lord. Yeah.
At 540 West Erie Avenue. Everybody is somebody in Christ is the head.
Thank you, Lord.
Come on over here to the table of spirit. And the feast of the Lord is going on.
Thank you, Lord.
Amen, somebody.
Amen.
We want to thank Minister Sowell for the reading of the scripture found in Psalms 31. He read the 21st and the 24th verses. Amen.
Yeah.
Sister Clem. Sister Ash trying to get your attention. Amen. Allow me just to read verse 24 in your hearing. It says, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart.
Amen.
All ye that hope
Thank you.
in the Lord.
Thank you.
We thank God for his blessed word and pray
Thank you,
that
Lord.
he bless the hearts of those that have heard it. Amen.
Amen.
If I was to use the subject today, I will talk about 3H.
3H?
3H. Hope, health, and happiness. 3H. Now, I know when I said 3H, I want you to understand most of us that have been around for a minute
Well,
know that 3H is that good tip. But I'm not talking about 3H, Scotch tape.
no.
But I'm talking about an adhesiveness that only God affords us,
Thank you, Lord.
so that we know that we have hope, health, and happiness.
Thank you, Lord.
We truly live in a time of apathy and complacency. A time when, if we're paying attention, most people have lost hope
Yeah.
and live in a life of despair. We see it every day. Suicides are on an uprise because people are living a life of despair. As we look around us, people become discouraged because all they see is death and desperation. Death and destruction. But what are you living for? What is your ultimate goal in life?
Well,
Do you have any hope this will really or truly happen? Do you have any help to accomplish this goal in your life? And while you're trying to achieve this goal, will you experience any happiness
well,
in pursuing? Well, brothers and sisters, when you get a negative diagnosis from a doctor,
well,
it doesn't take long for you to change your focus or your goal in life.
Well,
What would your focus be in that situation? Personally, I don't think I miss church for any reason. I think y'all have witnessed that, no matter how bad I feel or what I'm going through. I made a commitment to God that as long as I can get to this,
Thank you, Lord.
I'm going to show up.
Yeah.
I don't think I stopped praying or reading the Word, because faith comes by hearing, and hearing
Yeah.
by the Word of God.
Yeah.
Someone said that we cannot decide whether or not we will live or die. We can only decide what we will die for.
Oh, yeah.
well,
I want us to think about 3 thoughts today, which most people seek after or focus on in their life. And that is hope, health, look at hope. I read an illustration about a man who approached a little league baseball game one afternoon, and he asked the boy in the dugout what the score was. And the boy responded, 18-0. We're behind. Boy, said the spectator, I bet you're discouraged. The little boy replied, why should I be discouraged? We haven't even gotten to bat yet. That's a good attitude to have. Knowing and understanding that the fight is not over. That's the attitude of hope in life. He had it and we all need it. In other words, he said, yeah, it looked like we're down. But we're not out yet. Because we haven't had our chance. Because once we get our chance, we can supersede that which they do. Yes, the devil might be fighting us on every side. But we're not out of the battle. Because we got a God that fights our battle for us. There's a young lady named Claire Booth-Luce. And she was an American playwright, editor, journalist, ambassador, and United States Congresswoman for the state of Connecticut. And she wrote that there are no hopeless situations. There are only people who have grown hopeless about them. Job 30:25-27 says, have I not wept for those in trouble? Has not my soul grieved for the poor? Yet when I hoped for good, evil came. When I looked for light, then came darkness. The churning inside me never stopped. Days of suffering confront me. Is this you today? Do you have days that make you feel like this? You hope for good, but it seems like the bad just keep coming your way. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I think we all go through times like this in our life. I don't think God sends evil our way, but I do believe that He allow our faith to be tested with bad and negative stuff. Consider Job of old. How many of us could have endured what he endured by losing all his children, every material possession, and even his health? Where can we find hope in this negative and nasty world where bad things keep happening to good people?
Amen. Amen.
Psalms 25:2-5 says, in you I trust, O my God. Do not let me be put to shame, nor let my enemies triumph over me. No one whose hope is in you will ever be put to shame, but they will be put to shame who are treacherous without excuse. Show me your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths, and guide me in your truth, and teach me. For you are God, my Savior, and my hope is in you all the day long. I don't know about you, but Lord, I like this. No one whose hope is in you, Lord, will ever be put to shame. I want not only to believe this truth, but I want to live this truth. Psalms 31:24 says, be strong and take heart. All your hope is in the Lord. And so when your ultimate hope is in the Lord, you can be strong in life. You don't have to take a back seat to anyone. That doesn't mean you have to be arrogant or perhaps treat others with contempt, but you can live confidently and victoriously when your hope is in the Lord, in Christ. In the midst of whatever you may be going through, you can hold your head up high and know that your hope is in the Lord. For example, a number of times in my life, I've been asked to either pray at a large public function, or speak at a mayoral event, or before a state or councilmatic legislative body. And nearly every time I did so, I did it confidently and without fear, because I knew I was speaking for the Lord, and I also knew that the Lord was with me. I've heard others say that when you go and you pray in these different venues, that you should not talk about in Jesus Christ. But at the end of every one of my prayers, I say in Jesus Christ's name, I do pray. Because I'm not ashamed of the gospel. And so I stand confidently before these different legislative bodies and I testify to the Christ that I serve. Because I know that it's Christ that holds me up. In other words, we got to go forth and we got to speak our truths without fear.
Amen.
When our hope is in Him, it makes a difference in how we live in this world. It makes a difference no matter what we do. Psalm 33:20 says that we wait in hope for the Lord, and He is our help and our shield. In Psalms 37:9, He says, for evil men will be cut off, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. We'll certainly inherit the land of heaven because our hope is in Him.
Thank you, Lord.
In Psalm 62:5-6, He says, find rest, O my soul, in God alone. My hope comes from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, and I will not be shaken. In Psalm 71:14-15, He said, but as for me, I will always have hope. I will praise you more and more. My mouth will tell of your righteousness, of your salvation all day long, though I know not its measure. What I'm saying, church, is that when your hope is in the Lord, you will want to speak for Him.
Yes.
You will want to witness and testify for Him. When you possess the promise of eternal life and believe it with all your heart, why would you not want to talk about it?
Amen. Amen.
Psalms 119:74 says, may those who fear you rejoice when they see me, for I have put my hope in your word.
Thank you, Lord.
In Psalms 119:114, it says, you are my refuge and my shield. I have put my hope in your word. If our hope is in the Lord, it is also in His word. For we trust Him and we trust His word. For He said, heaven and earth shall pass away, but His word shall never be turned void. And so as we move to our second thought, let's talk about help. A mother said to her daughter, her daughter was about 3 years old when one night she requested her help in getting undressed. And the mother said, you know how to undress yourself. The young girl said, yes, but sometimes people need help anyway, even if they do know how to do things themselves. Yes, there are times when everybody needs a little help. And maybe a lot of help. It is times like these when, though you know what to do and you know how to do it, you need somebody to help you through. Am I right about that? There was a story about a 74-year-old Lakeland woman who was hospitalized after being mauled by a pack of raccoons that she tried to shoot from her yard. Her name was Gretchen Whitty. And she fell when 5 raccoons surrounded and attacked her, suffering extensive cuts from her neck to her legs. We're not talking about a lot of little bites here. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said she was filleted. A neighbor called for help after hearing the woman's cries, seeing her covered in blood. Whittick received dozens of staples and sutures and was treated for rabies, though officials doubt the animals were infected. Wow. The lady found herself in a bad situation and desperately needed help. Thank God for her good neighbor who heard her and called for help. Beyond that, what would you do in her situation? She may have called on God to help her, but what would you say or pray? Help me, O God, or maybe have mercy on me? Maybe both or more. You might even cry, Lord, save me. Job 6:13 says, do I have any power to help myself now that success has been driven from me? When things are going good in life, we think that we can take care of ourselves. But what happens when you lose all your money in your 401k? Or when you lose your job? Or when you lose your house? Or when you lose your car? Do you have any power then? Can you help yourself? Psalms 18:6 says, in my distress, I called to the Lord. I cried to my God for help. And from his temple,
Yes.
he heard my voice.
Thank you.
My cry came before him
Thank you, Lord.
into his ears.
Wow.
In Psalms 28:7, it says, the Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and I am helped. My heart leaps for joy, and I will give thanks to him in song. In Psalms 32, it says, O Lord, my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. That's interesting. Because I'm sure there are many people who would like for the Lord to bring healing
Yes, Lord.
to their bodies.
Thank you.
I'm reminded how my wife and I sat in the room of the orthopedic surgeon, and they talked about my neck, my cervical spine. And he talked about my options. Said, well, we can do surgery. We do surgery, we're going to put a hinge over your 4 discs with 8 screws. And that will help ease some of the pain. And I said, but I'm not ready for that right now, even though I could move my head left to right with minimal pain.
Yeah.
If you put this hinge on me, I would lose some of my mobility.
Yeah.
But I would also be concerned about y'all hitting my spinal cord and the possibility of paralysis. And he said, maybe we shouldn't do that yet. And then we went on and we did a new procedure called the Roman Marcus procedure, where they took and did a local anesthetic, and they bored holes in my cervical spine and across my back. And they said that it's a possibility that while the pain might be mitigated for a short time, it's a procedure that would have to be repeated over and over again. Then that wasn't enough. If Lady Hester tell you that wasn't enough, then they went and they did what they call a RFA, where again they did a local anesthetic. And they did big injections, holes the size of a nail head, across my back and down my spine. And they did it not just once, but I had that procedure done 3 times in the last 4 years. Then they talked about my lower back, degenerated disc in the bulging of the L5. And I said, well, that's going to have to heal on its own. I've had this ever since I was 19 years old. And I prefer not to have a procedure that's going to deal with my lower lumbar spine. Then as we said, just a few weeks ago, they talked about my lungs. They talked about how some of the cysts had grown, and they talked about the scarring on my left lung, and they talked about the inflammation on my right lung. And we talked about various methods to try to heal them. How in September they'll do another CAT scan to see if the processes are helping. That can be discouraging. But my hope is in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
See, when you deal with all these things and yet God allow you to go forth and do His word, you know your hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and His righteousness. And so even in the midst of all these varied ailments, in the midst of sciatica, in the midst of fibromyalgia, on top of all that, I come rejoicing.
Wow.
I come giving God praise. And the Lord is the one who is to be praised for any improvement or any good thing in our lives or any good report from the doctor. Bless His name. Now, for our help comes from Him. Psalms 46:1 says, God is our refuge and strength, and ever-present help in trouble. Psalms 121, 1 and 3 says, I lift up my eyes into the hills. I can hear motherhood right now.
Yeah.
For my help cometh from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, and he will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber.
Well,
And my third and final point, as I prepare to come to a close, is happiness. The question is, are most people happy? Well, Dennis Wiley, the author of Are You Happy, reports that according to expert opinion, perhaps only 20% of all Americans are happy. That doesn't say a lot for our country. Those experts would probably agree with the dry definition of happiness offered by psychiatrist Thomas Sachs, who said happiness is an imaginary condition formerly attributed by the living to the dead, not usually attributed by adults to children and by children to adults. In other words, most people think that someone else is happier than they are.
well,
It's like, look at Oprah. She got everything and then some. She doesn't want for anything. Truly, she must be happy.
well,
But see, having everything don't necessarily equate to happiness. You see, one of our big problems in America is that most people equate happiness with money. One rapper said, more money, more problems.
well,
If you got a lot of money, you're bound to be happy is what some people think. But when we use a little common sense and combine that with the message of God's word, we know that that doesn't always hold true. Money may make a person more comfortable, but a great fortune can easily make a person more miserable. Most people have a lot of money, are always worried about gaining more and worried about losing what they already have. Some of them live a life like prisoners, with people with guns surrounding their homes because they're concerned about somebody trying to take what they have. And it's an illusion that children from impoverished neighborhoods are the only ones that are unhappy. Because when you really look at the rich and famous, there's more of them committing suicide than those that are impoverished. Because those that are impoverished already know what struggle is.
amen,
But when they have to deal with some type of adversity, when trouble comes their way, they don't know how to handle it. And sometimes they throw money at it. But money don't bring about happiness. Am I right about that?
amen,
And so we realize that 1 Timothy 6:6-10 says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. People who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. Most people are obsessed with that mentality of, if I only had such and such, I would be happy in life. What is that thing? What is that thing that will make you happy? A new house? A renovated house? A new wardrobe? A completely new wardrobe? A new car? A new fast car? This goes on and on. What is that thing that will make you happy? Minister Solwell might Say, I would appreciate a nice yacht where I can go scuba diving. He like to snorkel. He can get his boat. He can rest on the deck. Slide down the slide. And snorkel. That'd be pretty nice. But will it make you happy? For a little while. Because after a while, you're going to miss the other things in life. The world has sold us a bill of goods.
Amen.
A bunch of no good goods. Sometimes you may not have wealth,
Right.
but you're as happy as can be. Because your happiness is not in the things of the world, but your happiness is in the Lord, not in material things. You're just thrilled to be serving the Lord in ministry. Psalm 68:3 says, but may the righteous be glad and rejoice before God. May they be happy and joyful. Ecclesiastes 3:12 says, I know that there is nothing better for man than to be happy and to do good while they live. Ecclesiastes 5:19 says, moreover, when God gives any man wealth and possession and enable him to enjoy them, to accept his lot and to be happy in his work, this is a gift from God. In Ecclesiastes 7:14 say, when times are good, be happy, but when times are bad, consider. God has made the one as well as the other. Therefore, a man cannot discover anything about his future. Brothers and sisters, when your hope is in the Lord, come what may, you can find a certain happiness in this life. You heard me say earlier that I thank God for my wife.
Amen.
She brings happiness to my life. When I'm troubled on every side, she's my happiness. When I'm misunderstood, she brings me happiness. Because in her I see the joy that God has given me through her. What I'm saying is that hope, help, and happiness, all these sound very good, but they have eluded many people in this world. And they are hopeless, helpless, and happiness. I read one time that General Electric, a maker of heart pacemakers, issued a recall for 487 heart pacemakers. Almost all of them were in the chest of patients. Wow, can you think about that? Defective pacemakers and people that are walking around. Well, guess what? All of us are defective in certain ways. And this is why we need the Lord most of all, for he has recalled us. And without him, we will have little hope, minimal help, and scarce happiness in life. For in the Lord and he alone is our hope. The Lord is our help and our happiness. And we have to trust in him. We have to believe in him. We have to walk in him. We have to praise him. We have to thank him on a daily basis. And we should worship him. For my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean in Jesus' name. When darkness seems to hide his face, I'm resting on his unchanging grace. And every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. On Christ, the solid rock I stand. All of the ground is sinking sand. His oath, his covenant, his blood support me in the whelming flood. When all around my soul gives way, he then is my hope and stay. When he shall come, when trumpets sound, oh, may I then in him be found, dressed in his righteousness alone, faultless to stand before the throne. I stand on the rock of ages. Yes, one day when I see Jesus face to face, it'll all be worth it. And happy days will be there. I don't know about y'all, but I'm looking to that day. But while I am yet living,
Oh,
I have hope. I thank God for help. And I thank God for happiness.
Well,
oh, yeah.
And no matter what comes our way, we find happiness in the Lord.
Thank you.
Because our happiness is in our hearts. It's the joy. I talked about it last week, the joy that he affords us.
Thank you.
He said that I came that your joy may be full. On Jesus Christ, the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. I don't know about you, but that's good news.
amen.
That though in the midst of all that we're dealing with, God is still in control. He's bringing joy to our heart.
Oh, yeah.
He's saying to you and he's saying to me, be of good courage. For your hope is in the Lord,
Amen.
not in man. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
Somebody say amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Lord. On Christ. That solid rock I stand. I don't know about you, I'm grateful.
Amen.
A little busy, but grateful.